It's not like something I was born to do. It's something I have to do. You know, I have to do this. It's like birthing. I mean, you know, to some degree, it's like because you have this idea, and all right, so if you want this idea to exist other than in your head, what are you going to do about it? So, you know, you make things. It's funny because I was just thinking about that yesterday. You know, like I remember as a child we had we had the basement in our big house, and my dad had a little shop down there. It had no dust collection system or, you know, way to ventilate, so to speak. But he would be down there doing fix-up stuff, or he would be making something, not anything artistic, but just maybe something for I don't know, maybe the house or
utility.
The barn. Yeah, utility, exactly. And you know, I was always interested in all the tools, and I remember you know, seeing how he had organized all his nuts and bolts, and he had just taken like little jam jars. So he had all these little jars and screws in. And I was like looking at that and thinking about, you know, that's not a really great way to organize. It seems that, but, and then I had, for some reason, I don't know where I had seen it or something. I said, Dad, hey, you should go look at these little drawer things, when you can open up a drawer and there's like all these things, and you can put like, you know, all the different screws in, and it'd take up much less space and yada yada. And he looked at it and he goes, that's a good idea. So he ended up getting the thing and putting it in the basement. Took care of like, I don't know how many shelves, and replaced that, you know. So I was really proud of the fact that I was able to, you know, kind of, you know, get that idea in his head. I was, okay, I want to mess with tools and I want to cut things and do stuff. So this was like one of the first things I ever carved. It was just taken from some book and, you know, pattern or whatever. But yeah, and then I realized, you know, I enjoyed working with my hands. I imagine that I was always drawing stuff before that in elementary school, you know, drawing dinosaurs, you know, that kind of thing. So there was always that urge. And then plus my mother was an artist of sorts too. And she's the one that it was frustrating for me to see that she could never get herself in a proper place where it just came naturally. She had to have everything like her ducks in a row, or everything in a certain way. I mean, it always puzzled me, like, you know, Mom, you have some, you know, talent here. Why don't you want to just get doing stuff? Now, her work was mostly working from photographs. She'd take a photograph and then she would, copy it, so to speak. But it was still, you know, pretty impressive what she would do.
Did eventually your mother abandon trying?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, it would be years. She'd set up, she'd have a desk up in the one of the upper bedrooms, and she had her drawing desk there. She'd have her pencils all laid out, but nothing got done. So whatever the psychology was for my mother, you know, it certainly inhibited her ability to create things. I mean, the last thing she kind of drew was she had taken a photo of her granddaughter, and she's probably, I don't know, 85, 84 at the time.
It's not now. But I'm wondering if that was something that is part of the DNA of your creating, is the fact that you saw this within your mom that didn't get fulfilled, and you.
Oh yeah, I guess you could certainly draw that conclusion. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and then I don't want to have that, like, well, you know, 15 years go by and, well, you said you were going to do this, this, and this, and you did nothing. Yeah, no.
What from there? Was that a spark moment?
I don't know if I'd say it was a spark moment, but I just happened to have this. I mean, you know, it's leftovers from, when I was in high school or middle school, and I made other things. You know, we had the shop classes in high school, so I would be building things and making stuff in there. I kept a sketchbook. You know, I was interested in art. Like deciding on college, I went down the checklist of all the majors, and I go, oh, okay, art. you know, that was it. What do I need to do? Oh, you got to get a portfolio. So I put a portfolio together, you know, in my senior year, and you know, it wasn't like I was well trained, or the art courses were all that good, but it was something that I figured, yeah, I could be decent at this. And then of course the practical part of me goes, well, you probably won't make money as an artist, so you probably should do art teaching. You know, so I went into art ed. I did that. Did the art ed, and you know, I found that as I started my teaching career, I still want to make stuff. You know, painting. Got into painting. All right, I want to take this further. If I'm going to have to get a master's, I want to do it in something that I love. So I got a portfolio together and applied to different schools, and was able to get into RIT, not known for its painting program, which was appropriate because I really wasn't a very good painter. Rochester Institute of Technology.
Just wanted it from you.
Yeah, and but it's a good school, and it was just a great place for me. Great experience. I loved it. I was painting, primarily painting, nothing really sculptural, but painting. I was painting these kind of metaphoric images of paint tubes that, you know, took on these megalithic proportions on landscapes, and they would be communicating, you know, narratives and stuff like that. It worked for me because I got involved with the School for American Crafts in the wood department. So the painting became more sculptural, and then everything kind of became more sculptural after that.
So take me from, you made this,
Yeah.
which is out of wood.
Yep.
And then you got into painting.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got into some of the other woodwork and all of those other things. Were you inhibited to try the next thing, or did each new thing, or it just didn't matter?
Yeah, it didn't matter. I was engaged. No, I'm pretty creative. I mean, so I don't have any problems with the materials. You know, trying different things. I would say that you know, certain things frustrate me, like, you know, watercolor is the most hellish thing to try to do. When I see John Singer Sargent's, you know, use of watercolor and paint, and then there's other watercolors too. It's just, it's like I mentioned before, it's transcendent, and you can appreciate that and understand how beautiful it is that somebody can work so effortlessly within a medium, you know. Because it's so much more immediate than, let's say, a sculpture, which requires carving out of a chunk of wood and you know, stone. You know, clay may be a little bit different because it's a little more plastic, so you can, you know, see things happening, you know, quickly. And there again, could be very effortless too, with the way they've used their hands with the clay. But yeah, I'm fine with trying different things. Like, I've just been getting into a little bit of bronze casting, and that's a very technical kind of thing too. Like, what I found with the technical is like doing this kind of stuff with the, you know, fine woodworking, and although that's not super fine woodworking, it's close. Then the cabinet over there, you know, that's another kind of fine woodworking. Is that it requires a totally different mentality than something like this or some of the other stuff that I do. Like,
so a painful thing, but I want to ask you about it, just so we can put it in the context. Is Ross, how old were you?
I was 16. Oh yeah, that had a big impact on my life, and it still does. I mean,
right?
Yeah, every day. There's not a day I don't go by. I don't think about it. Yeah. I'm living for him and for me. Oh, I know, and it is, you know, like, there's so mixed emotions, you know, with the suicide, and then still, I still don't know all the facts. The police report wouldn't allow me to have all the facts, and so that leaves me to wonder, is there really something else going on? But most of the things pointed to that it would have been suicide, and then it fit with how my brother was so volatile in his anger and his, you know, just would lash out and would not think and be reflective. So it seemed to be that was the case. And then it leaves me, like I said, with this, you know, this sadness, but also this tremendous anger. You know, why? You know, there's consequences that, you know, played out with, you know, my sister and the relationship between her and and the parents, and then, you know, even with the way my mom, you know, proceeded, and my dad, and it was just, I mean, I don't know if I would say it's a mess, but it wasn't, you know, but that was a different time. I mean, this was the 50s, and you didn't talk about stuff, and you didn't, you know, you worried about what your neighbors thought, and that's how you conducted your business. So, I mean, I don't blame my parents. I thought my parents did a very good job. They made some poor choices, you know, and they suffered for it. But you know, overall, I think they did the best that they could do, or they thought they could do. So I don't hold them, you know, too accountable.
And I'm wondering if that's one of the things subconsciously that drives, is you're looking for that reasoning or that why.
No, I think it's, you know, my view of the universe and how it's shaped certainly is reflective in what I'm searching for. You know, that's why I think, you know, some of the stuff goes from, you know, very cerebral maybe to you know, kind of conceptual aspects to stuff that is just idiotic. You know, like there's the piece on there that I just knocked off in a few days. You know, really pushing more towards the absurd, which is the faggot brain needle dick.
Yes.
You know, and it's a play on words and stuff, and politically incorrect, but it's just descriptive of what it is, you know. And that's, I mean, that in a nutshell is how I kind of view the universe. You know, there's so many things in it that make sense, and then there's so much of it that doesn't make any sense, and it just seems like, you know, what is this all about? So that's the bigger, you know, kind of picture.
So is what you create personal, universal? Do you want, like, when you make it, do you have
I think it is personal, but I certainly would hope that it has universal qualities. And yeah, some things, I guess, maybe in the overall scheme of things are maybe not as successful as others because of that. And then I'm still making things that have, you know, they're just fun things. They're not looking to have any kind of bigger, you know, like
right.
Like I wanted to create something that was me. But it was, you know, something that the average guy could maybe, you know, purchase at one of these craft fairs, you know, and I couldn't come up with anything for a while. And then I finally, you know, came up with the Moonbee kind of thing through my sketchbooks, and then put it into, you know, three-dimensional form, and I was like, wow, this is really fun. There's something like Monty Python shaped my life to some degree because of their absurdist view of the universe, I would have to say, and they were certainly influential as a kid growing up. I mean, I watched that show religiously as a kid growing up, and but yeah, so I get my problem is that I get all these ideas and then I don't necessarily resolve them.
So what makes you start and then stop? You have an idea.
Because I get bored.
You feel like you've thought through.
I want to get on to the next idea, you know.
What does make a piece successful to you? To you, and then in general, because there's two different.
I think a successful piece from me would be one that I'm not sure what it means or what it's saying. I have a general idea, but I'm not sure exactly what it's saying. There's a bit of mystery about it.
Yes.
You know, where I'm not clear, and I like that, and that's what I look for in other works of art, where I can continue to have a conversation with that piece from day to day or down the line. So that to me makes a successful piece. And then one that I would think the way it's done technically, where it just everything seemed to work, whether it's colors, forms, texture, all those things just came together, and it's like, yeah, that really works. I mean, this reliquary piece over here, that piece is what I would say is a successful piece because it has, all the element stuff and technical stuff works perfectly with, the idea that it communicates or expresses.
Yeah, and your work has a lot of open and inside, which I think is is congruent with what you say, where you like to try to figure things out. And you do have something in there that says, I like to, when I don't have it figured out, that's more interesting to me to create something that I don't have figured out than what I do.
Right. And you're right, I do like the idea of hidden kind of things. You're opening, you're revealing. I've done any number of pieces that are like that. My brain is all, I'm going to make these interesting pieces, but they have to be practical in order to sell. You can't just have them just regular pieces of sculpture. No one's going to buy them as a regular sculpture. You can't charge that much because they've got to be practical. You got to be able to do something. Oh, I always wanted to have something where you put your keys, and okay, so I'll make a key keeper, and then I have my keys, and so, all right, so it's got to be an open space inside, and that, that whole idea of like opening it up, and then, what's the goodie on the inside? Well, in this case, it's this, but I've done other pieces where had something else in there. Okay, it doesn't have to be a key holder. And I even remember somebody saying that to me at the Criffer. Why do you have to have keys in it? Why can't you have something else or nothing or whatever? I thought, okay, interesting thought. So anyway, so that's the key keeper.
And tell us about the rocks with the chair on the top.
I started at the day the towers were bombed.
Oh.
I mean, I didn't start it because, the towers are bombed. I mean, I was actually just starting to lay the stone out down there. And then I took a break and I'm listening to the news and the towers got bombed. And anyways, but I finished that piece. It's just odd that was the day I started.
Yeah.
And it was really nice. It was more like this little pile right here. It was nice and smooth and everything, but I just put them on the ground. I didn't make a footing or foundation.
Oh.
So every winter, summer, the frost heave, that'll just push the stones all over. So now it's falling apart. But originally it had this antenna going up, kind of like this one, but I used the sapling, and then I striped it with sheet metal. And then my idiot neighbor ripped it down and threw it away or stole it, whatever. Yeah, so anyways, he did that. I'm sure of it. I didn't see him, but he did so many other things in the course of the years here. But that's a whole other thing. We're not going to get into that.
We could, because it sounds fun.
Yeah. But,
I'll send him a free copy of the book.
but because of him, actually, it led to the chair, because he got rid of that, and he ripped the tube out, because I had a PVC pipe tube that was down in the rock, so that if that sapling had rotted or whatever, I could take that out and put another one in there. Well, he ripped that out. Okay, so the rocks tumbled and I couldn't get anything back in there. So
somewhat vicious.
It's stupid. So I had some chairs down there that I was just giving away, and then I'm like, so I put a chair up on top, and then it looked cool.
When you find your raw materials, do you have it in your head what you want, or do the materials dictate, or how does that happen where you bring raw materials into like the sticks over there or the wood that's sitting there? How does it go from that to that?
It's more like idea comes first, and then whatever materials are going to work, and I just kind of gravitate more to the wood because it's a little more immediate. These are like two pieces that I have left from years ago that I wish I could. It's a hard piece to sell because it's huge. If it's dark, it's stage lighting. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So this is called The Philosopher's Journey, or its original title is Make God Dance, an absurdist play in 7 acts. And the 7 acts refers to, this opens up, so you're welcome to open it up. So there's 7 different heads, 7 different sets of genitalia. They're all on plates, and then there's a kneeling pad. So the ritual aspect of it would be the kneeling pad come out, and then you would kneel down, Tina, and then there are pulls here.
Oh.
So when you pull, you control, and you can treat him roughly, so to speak, if you wanted. So in other words, you can be pulling on these things real quick and fast, snapping them. Exactly. He's meant to be make God dance. So where adults are inhibited, little kids
Right.
will go and have the way it's supposed to be used, because I tried to work it. So the only problem with a little kid is like, well, maybe they're changing the stuff, because what you can do is you simply can unwind this, and you can pop a different head in or a different set of genitalia. Yeah. It came from that whole idea about the absurdity of how I view the universe. It goes to the question of, did man create God, or did God create man? So I'm just playing with that idea, that's all. And then I also wanted to reduce any pretentiousness, like, man thinks he's so great. Let's just go to his baser needs. So the genitals are all reflective of just the base nature of the idea of being, human, man, or whatever. And any kind of elevated, kind of concepts or thinking that you have, you're barking up the wrong tree. You're really just an animal. So, those kind of ideas are part of it. And then this whole thing, like, oh no, I'm God. I'm going to make you dance. So the different heads were God. This was, how did I refer to it? God as, I guess God is omnipotent. I am God. All work and no play makes God a dull boy.
Yes.
That kind of thing. This was God. This was God as the devil. And this one I kind of, maybe I kind of got from a Tom Waits lyric, which said, there's no such thing as God, that's just the devil when he's drunk.